Buongiorno, everybody. Welcome to this presentation. My name is Shannon Levy, and I am a product designer for Italy here at Collette. I'm very excited to be with you today to introduce you to the exciting journey that we have planned in collaboration with Come Away by Sea Courses. We want to invite you all to Italy to visit my country under a different perspective, the perspective of art and medicine and science. Uh, all of you are medical professionals, so medicine has been your life pursuit, and we hope to be able to take you on a trip with us that will be revealing of the very special rapport that exists between Italy and the modern scientific world. So I would like to share with you a little presentation that we have put together just to give you some visuals of the locations where we are going to be. But I would like to start by going back in time to the approach Greek people and the ancient Greeks used to have about medicine. They used to view medicine as one of the original arts. And that's why we decided to title this journey The Art of Medicine, because as you teach me, medicine is as much a science as it is an art, in the sense that it is a craft that is honed over years and years of practice and exchange with your colleagues in hospitals, but also sometimes great exchanges can happen on a journey over a glass of wine, as much as visiting a museum of anatomical waxes and noticing maybe a small gland that was thought to be discovered in the 1900s, but really was already captured in an anatomical wax in Florence in the 1700s. Just throwing it out there as a little tidbit of something to be looking out for. So welcome to Italy, the art of medicine. Italy is at the junction between art and science. The Renaissance was not just the rebirth of all the arts that we think of today, such as sculpture, painting, poetry, architecture, but it was also the place where there was the rebirth of engineering, science, the creation of the modern scientific method, and research. And these things are pivotal to the development of modern medicine, but also modern art. So, where are we taking you during this trip? Your trip is going to open in Florence with a relaxing 4-night stay, plenty of time to recoup from the jet lag. You're going to overnight 3 nights in Abano, this mysterious spa town in northern Italy, and then ending with a 2-night stay in the magnificent water floating city of Venice. Along the way, we are also going to visit Bologna and Padua, that are the seat of Italy's 2 most ancient universities and Italy's 2 most ancient medical schools. So we have really a great blend of artistic beauties, relaxing stays, plenty of free time, and also balanced with some insights into the history of modern medicine and crafts and things that surround modern medicine. So let us start with Florence, the cradle of the Renaissance. This is the city of the flower, Florencia, but also known as the cradle of the Renaissance because it is in Florence that after the Dark Ages, the Renaissance came about. It was a perfect conjunction of better improving economy, improving health conditions, and therefore the ability to stop focusing on soul survival and being able to go back to thinking about poetry and art and developing and improving life conditions. And improving life conditions is at the heart of medicine and science. So what's going to happen in Florence, apart from sightseeing of all the most incredible and beautiful monuments of the city, you are also going to view the Hospital of the Innocents, which is the oldest orphanage building built to be an orphanage, so conceived for the comfort and safety of orphans. Um, and it is also a beautiful Renaissance palace because it was designed by Brunelleschi and adorned by terracottas by the Della Robbia brothers. So Florence is this magnificent combination of arts and beauty that is also functional and studied around and centered around the human body. So an orphanage, but also the Brotherhood of Misericord, of Mercy. This is the oldest functioning service of ambulances in the world. Still today functioning as an ambulance service, and it is located right next to the cathedral. So again, mixing and matching the beauty and functionality. But you will also visit this Academy Museum, which houses the statue of David, Michelangelo's David, which on top of being one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful statue carved in the Renaissance, is also a remarkable study in human anatomy, because Michelangelo was a great master of anatomy, a great student of anatomy. And so in Florence, you will also have the opportunity to visit La Specola Museum, which is an amazing collection of anatomical waxes. So these are reproductions in wax of human bodies studied by the anatomists in the University of Florence. And these waxes date back to the 1700s. So they are almost 300 years old. And this gives us the feeling of how deep is the rapport and the development of modern medicine in Italy. And it will go deeper. But Florence was also the birthplace of a very, very special woman, Florence Nightingale, who developed the modern nursing method. And why was she called Florence? Of course, because she was born in Florence. Her parents named her after the city she was born in. So from Florence, we will then head on to Bologna. And Bologna is in itself is already reason enough to journey to Bologna. Bologna is called La Rossa, the red, and you can see from the red bricks in this image. La Grassa, the fat, because of all the good food, and La Dotta, the knowledgeable one. And why so? Because Bologna houses Italy's most ancient university, dating back to 1099, so over 1,000 years, almost 1,000 years. And you will visit the university, the historical building, the most ancient building, that not only is full of beauties in itself, but it houses this very unique room that you can see to the right of the image, that is the historical anatomical theater. that was built in 1739. That was the place where medical students at the University of Bologna attended anatomy classes and human dissections up until the end of the 1800s. So you can see for yourself the white table in the middle, which was where the body was brought up, lifted. There was a whole system to bring the body in. You will view that when you visit the anatomical theater. However, you will also have the opportunity to visit the Palazzo Poggi Museum, where there is a study, the birthing machine, a study of the development and its growth in the female body, with the study of the functions of birthing, which was used to train midwives and doctors on how babies were born, so that they could practice on a model before performing births, helping women to give birth. And Bologna was, as we mentioned, because of the anatomical theater, was also the place where the practice of human dissection was reintroduced in AD 1300, so 700 years ago. And it was the first place it was reintroduced in the Western world after the School of Alexandria, Egypt, that was shut down in the 2nd century after Christ. So for over 1,000 years, anatomy, the study of anatomy, was no longer practiced, and then it was started back again in Bologna. This in itself is a reason enough to travel to Bologna, but there is more from a scientific point of view. Bologna was also the university where Dr. Tagliacozzi developed the first practices of plastic surgery on the nose with a modern methodology. And Malpighi, Dr. Malpighi, discovered the capillary blood vessels. So lots of interesting things that are going to be capped off with delicious lunch with lasagna. That is, of course, one of Italy's most succulent dishes. And so buon appetito, bon appetit, as we say in Italy. The afternoon will take us to Abano Terme, which is a central place, a spa town that is central to the Euganian Hills and to Padua. So why Abano Terme? Abano Terme is a a thermal bath, so a spa town. It is a hyperthermal town, in the sense that the waters that come out from the underground springs that are coming from the Euganian Hills that you will visit during your trip are volcanic in origin, so they are very hot, hyperthermal. They reach temperatures up to 86 degrees Celsius, with an average temperature of 40 degrees Celsius. These waters are extremely beneficial for the human body, for plunging. The majority of our thermal waters in Italy are for drinking, so they work on the internal of the body. But the ones in Abano are good for the skin, especially. So your hotel in Abano is also spa hotel with its own pools. So make sure to bring your bathing suit and to take time to enjoy the hot water springs during your stay in Abano. Abano is also the hometown of Pietro da Abano, who was the doctor that studied at the University of Padua, and who developed ichthyology, which is, of course, the study of the causes of human diseases. So very important from a historical point of view. Abano has also its own strong connections with the art of medicine, because if we don't understand why we get ill, we are definitely in a pickle. But Padua is going to be the location of visits over 2 days. There is so much to experience and visit in Padua. Padua was the university where Galileo Galilei taught for 18 years. Galileo is considered the father of the modern scientific method because he said provando and riprovando, trying again, so experimenting, not just looking at things and deciding in your head, oh, it must be that way for this reason, because I like purple. No, Galileo, of course, changed the approach completely. He theorized the importance of measuring and making deductions based on data, and that changed the whole game. On top of his discoveries from an astronomical point of view, but his importance, his relevance for modern science goes beyond his discoveries as an astrologist, as an astronomist, and my apologies. He changed the way we and created the way we research and we consider data. But Padua was called by Shakespeare the nursery of the arts. Ah, fair Padua, the nursery of the arts, says the Taming of the Shrew. And Padua was indeed that, not only the seat of Italy's second most ancient university, but a great cradle of the arts. For example, something you may want to visit during your free time in Padua is the Chapel of the Scrovegni, which is the beautiful chapel with the blue ceiling that you see here to the left of the video. And the Chapel of the Scrovegni was completely painted by the great early Renaissance master Giotto, the same author of the frescoes of the Basilica of St. Francis in Assisi. So these are definitely something to add to your free time list. But also do not miss the students walking around Piazza delle Erbe, which is the daily fruit and vegetables farmers market that takes place just outside the historical seat of the University of Padua. And it is also the best place to have a spritz, which is an Italian pre-meal drink that is nowadays very famous, the Aperol spritz. So don't miss out on that. Don't miss out on our visit to the Euganian Hills that are the place from where the hot waters of Abano come from. It's an ancient volcanic chain that has now died off, but it was also the home of the great Renaissance poet Petrarch. And during our visit, we will stop also at Villa Val San Silvio, which is an amazing Renaissance villa with a beautiful maze that is going to host us for a drink and a visit. And then we will return to Padua the following day for a visit to the botanical orchard, the Orto Botanico. This is a UNESCO protected site. It is the only botanical garden protected by UNESCO in the world. It dates back to 1545, so almost 500 years old, and it is the oldest university botanical garden in existence, still located on its original site. And it is, again, the junction of form, beauty, and research, because the way the plants are laid out in the garden was dividing them between medicinal, officinary, and culinary plants. So plants that you use in the kitchen or in the pharmacy. So this botanical orchard was the orchard used, the botanical garden used by the doctors and the pharmacists in the University of Padua over the centuries, over 5 centuries, to develop modern pharmacy and the use of plant-based medicine in the Western world. It is also, and still is, part of the University of Padua, and we will visit also the modern extension that has been added in recent years that is, again, used for research. Our time in Padua draws to an end, and we will move on to the floating city of Venice. Venice in itself is a UNESCO city. It is preserved. We will visit the islands such as Murano with its colorful houses and glass-blowing factories. But we will visit also the medical museum at the School of St. Mark's that houses a beautiful collection of historical medical tools, as well as enjoy a concert of Vivaldi Baroque music in one of Venice's church. This is the ensemble that is going to be performing for us. You will have plenty of free time to experience Venice's charms, perhaps jump on a gondola for a cruise of the Grand Canal, and also, of course, visit St. Mark's Square with its basilica and the beautiful bell tower. We will conclude our medical journey and exploration with a visit to the Lazzaretto Nuovo island. Lazaret in itself, the island is called Lazaret. So from the name already you can understand what it was used for. It was used to isolate and quarantine people and goods. Venice was, of course, a very strong merchant town that traded all across the Mediterranean with its boats. It had boats sailing out on very long journeys. They didn't know what they were coming back with in terms not only of goods, merchandise they were bringing back to the city to sell, but also potentially diseases. So to protect the city of Venice from potential diseases coming into the city, Venetians created buildings on islands, outer islands of the lagoon, where incoming vessels had to stop to quarantine for 40 days. 40 in Italian is 40. Quarantine comes from 40, 40 days. So ships would come in, dock in these islands like New Lazaret, stay there for 40 days, quarantine, and once they had quarantined, they would be allowed to unload the merchandise and come into the city. But if in those 40 days they developed diseases, the sailors and the merchandise would have to stay on the island until they could be for 40 days without disease. So they were isolated. Ancient Latin word for island, insula. In Italian, isola, isolation. So Venetians would isolate people for 40 days, would quarantine people in isolation. So just to give you an idea that these are only some of the many exciting connections that you will be able to make to deepen your knowledge of what has been your life's pursuit, the study and the development of the craft and art of medicine and the science of medicine. And this will be conjoined with the beauty of Italy's monuments and the atmosphere, the people watching, and the taking in of the beauty, the art, the sculpture, the architecture, the food and wine that Italy has to offer in beautiful cities such as Florence and Venice. and hidden gems like Bologna and Padua. So we look forward to having you join us in Italy on this journey with Stem Away, Come Away, and Sea courses. Thank you so much and looking forward to seeing you soon. Arrivederci. Bye.